Hello to my YouTube subscribers. Thank you for tuning in to Open Lanes Production. Today's story is on the Lee County riot that happened at the prison there in Lee County. Lee County Prison is one of the prisons known for deaths, riots, basically and all kind of bad things. So basically what happened was there was a riot, and they say that this riot was over cell phones, actual money, things that's of value, that's actually a privilege that's out on the street but not inside a prison. And so basically, due to them wanting to still have the privileges that's out in the street, 7 was dead, several was injured. Check the story out.
News 10.
Right now at noon, we are continuing to follow our big story out of Lee County, where 7 inmates have been killed. Another 17 had to be treated following what authorities are calling an inmate-on-inmate altercation. Names and pictures of the men involved have just been released. These are the 7 who were killed overnight. They are Corey Scott, Cornelius McClary, DeMonte Rivera, Eddie Gaskins, Joshua Jenkins, Michael Millage, and Raymond Scott. Department of Corrections officials actually say multiple crews responded to the incident at the prison last night. We're told everything happened around 7:15, but officials say the prison was secure again just before 3 this morning. So obviously a long time to get this under control. We want to go live to our Paul Rivera, who is in Bishopville, just outside of Lee Correctional, with the very latest on the incident. Paul, what do you know?
Well, Mary, aside from learning about the inmates and their identities, we have also found out that there's going to be a press conference. It's going to be held by Governor Henry McMaster. That's happening at 1:30 at the South Carolina Department of Corrections headquarters in Columbia. From there, we could maybe shed more light, start to piece together really what happened here in those initial moments, what led up to all this going on. But as far as officials, they tell us that the facility right behind me was secured at 2:55 in the morning, but the altercation started just after 7 last night, so there's a big span of time right there. To give you a quick background on Lee Correctional Institution, it's a level 3 facility. It's the largest of its kind in the state, which DLC says it's designed to mainly house violent offenders with longer sentences and inmates who exhibit behavior problems. There are just over 1,200 inmates here at last report, and there have been several reported deaths at the facility dating back to August. But again, that press conference, 1:30 at the Department of Corrections headquarters. Governor McMaster will be there to possibly shed more light on what exactly happened here and what led up to those moments. Reporting in Lee County, Paul Rivera, WIS News 10.
All right, thank you, Paul. And if you remember, we have reported that several inmates at that facility have been killed over the last several months. Let's take you through a timeline here. Back in February of this year, reports say an inmate was killed after a fight. In November of last year, in 2017, we know an inmate was stabbed to death at Lee Correctional. And in August of 2017, an inmate was found with a stab wound to his arm. We later learned that he bled to death. Again, we are waiting for that press conference coming up on this incident at 1:30. That's going to happen here in Columbia at the Department of Corrections headquarters. We will bring you that live as soon as it's happening on air and online. Reaction pouring in from around the community surrounding the Lee Correctional Institution. We actually spoke to some people today who say they're concerned about the strings of violence that seem to happen often at Lee Correctional.
My child goes to Lee Central High School, which is about a mile from the prison. I have never been comfortable that the prison has been that close with all the riots that they have always had.
It's not the first, and I don't even think it's going to be the last. Every year there's something going on over there. The escape, the killing one another in there, they're not taking care of them.
Now to Columbia, South Carolina. Officials are holding an update after several inmates were killed in a prison riot. Let's listen in.
This is about contraband. This is about cell phones, and you've heard us talk about these over and over again. These folks are fighting over real money and real territory while they're incarcerated. That's why we've been leading the effort in South Carolina to ask the FCC to allow us to block this signal. We have a meeting at the beginning of next month that we hope will be fruitful with the industry and we can talk about solutions. But until that's done, the folks that are incarcerated are going to continue their criminal ways from behind bars, which is not only dangerous inside our institutions, but it's also dangerous outside our institutions. That's why we need the FCC to allow us to block the signal, or the cell phone company to come to us with a technology that would allow us to control these signals. Thank you.
Director, you said multiple times, you and the governor have expressed your concerns about cell phones, about how they allow inmates to, as you have said yourself, carry out their criminal enterprises from within prison. We've heard from prisoners inside Lee who were there last night who described a macabre scene that they saw unfold, bodies piling up outside the prison while there were no correctional officers around, while there were no medical personnel around, attempting to render any aid. What do you say to those statements that are coming out? And I'm sure I'm not the only reporter to express some of those things.
Sure. So before we can go into a dorm, just so you know, there's about 250, 260 inmates in each dorm. We're not going to just send 1 or 2 officers in there. We're going to gather a force that is safe for all our officers, and we're going to go in and we're going to take that dorm back with force. And if there's any resistance, we'll be able to put that resistance down immediately. So we're not going to put our officers and other staff in harm's way. We gathered as many people as we could, as quickly as we could, and went in as soon as we thought it was safe for our staff.
All right. So, as you just heard, this prison, Lee County in South Carolina, is not new to issues. It's been having issues for a while, riots, all kind of trouble. So we can actually see that there's actually an internal issue at this facility. Something is going wrong. Something is going wrong that we're able to get outside privileges inside the prison. So I'm not sure what's going on with the security there. And as you could hear, the reporter states what the inmates were seeing, that there were no correctional officers on site, there was no medical aides there. So what actually really is going on at this particular prison in South Carolina. So we have to just take a look, deeper at things when things like this happen. And we know that they're actually supposed to be prevented. It's at a place that actually supposed to prevent crimes and actually supposed to limit your privileges. That's why it's called prison. So there's actually something going on else that I feel at this particular prison, and hopefully they dig into it deeper and find out what it is, what's with this particular facility, that this is allowed to continue to go on. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to the Open Lanes production. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell, do whatever you need to do to support me and my channel.